My sister hid her newborn in our upstairs flat. What I discovered next nearly tore our family apart forever. I got a message from my mom in the middle of the night. "Your sister's secret came out. There's a baby in the upstairs flat." My world stopped. My name's Olivia, fake name. I'm 29, a children's librarian, and someone who always believed family came first. Not just in the obligatory way people say it, but deeply, instinctively. My parents, Evelyn and Mark, are in their mid-50s, still laugh at each other's dumb jokes and finish each other's stories at dinner. And my sister, Hannah, 31, a corporate lawyer, was the fierce one. The one who always seemed to have her act together, even when no one else did. So when I found out that Hannah had a baby, a 6-week-old daughter named Mia, living secretly above our heads in the family's unused flat, I genuinely couldn't process it. A baby. Up there. This whole time. And no one knew. Not me. Not our parents. I threw on whatever clothes I could find and drove straight to my parents' house, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. All I could think about were the strange moments from the last few months. Hannah's constant work trips, the missed calls, her vague texts at odd hours. The way she'd show up to brunch looking tired, her makeup slightly off, like she was trying to hide how exhausted she really was. At the time, I chalked it up to burnout. A demanding job. Stress. We'd always given Hannah her space because she was so independent. But now, it was like puzzle pieces I didn't know were missing suddenly dropped into place, and the picture they formed terrified me. When I got there, the house was quiet except for a thin, muffled cry coming from upstairs. My dad stood at the bottom of the staircase like a statue, staring upward. "She won't open the door," he said, his voice hollow. Mom was pacing in the kitchen, her face pale. She lied to us. All this time. I didn't wait for permission. I climbed the stairs 2 at a time, my chest tight. I reached the landing and stopped. The air smelled faintly of baby powder and something warm, something familiar and heartbreaking. And then I heard it again, a baby's cry. Soft. Real. I stepped toward the door of the flat, and raised my hand to knock. But before I could, I heard the sound of a lock clicking shut from the inside. My sister was in there. With a baby. And a secret none of us saw coming. The door didn't open that night. Not all the way. Just a crack wide enough for me to see the blur of movement inside. I caught a glimpse of her, Hannah, eyes red, hair unbrushed, holding a baby wrapped in a pale pink blanket to her chest like a shield. We locked eyes for a second. Then she said, "Just give me until morning." And she shut the door again. It felt like every childhood memory rewound and flipped inside out. I kept thinking back to the first time I saw Hannah lock a door between us, when we were kids, after a fight. I must have been 7, and she was 9. She'd screamed at me to leave her alone, then slammed her bedroom door. I remember sitting on the hallway carpet crying, whispering her name over and over, waiting for her to let me back in. Even then, she was good at shutting people out. College only made it worse. Hannah moved across the country, said she didn't need anyone's approval, didn't do family drama. She was always vague about her personal life. Dating was a waste of time, she'd say, or too messy. I believed her. She always seemed so focused on work, ambition, pushing forward. And if she was seeing someone, she never told me. Or anyone. But now, with Mia upstairs, it was clear she'd kept everything to herself. The pregnancy. The birth. The fear. And she was still doing it. The next morning, Hannah came downstairs like it was any other day. No big announcement. No explanations. She had Mia in her arms, tightly swaddled, her face nearly hidden. My parents and I were sitting around the kitchen table like strangers in our own home. The air was still. No one knew what to say. "I just need a few weeks," Hannah said quietly, brushing a piece of lint off Mia's blanket. "That's all. I just need to figure things out." I asked the only thing I could manage. "Why didn't you tell us?" She didn't meet my eyes. Just stared down at her coffee, then muttered, You'll see why I had to keep this from you. Her words made my stomach twist. That afternoon, while she napped upstairs with Mia, I wandered into the hallway and noticed her bag resting near the door. It was slightly open, and I didn't mean to look, but something white caught my eye. A thick folder. I slid it out, hesitating only for a second before opening it. Inside were financial documents. Stacks of them. Some dating back over a year. Credit card balances. Legal letters. Missed rent. All under Hannah's name. Some with urgent, in bold red letters. There were balances I didn't understand. Names I didn't recognize. I felt a chill rush over me. We thought she had everything under control. That was always her role. She was the one who never needed help. That night, when I went to bring up a spare bottle of formula our mom had found in storage, I noticed something crumpled near the trash can outside the flat's door. I picked it up and flattened it out. It was an eviction notice. Addressed to Hannah Doyle. Dated tomorrow. And it hit me all at once. This wasn't just about hiding a baby. Hannah had been hiding everything. The job. The apartment. The money. All of it. And now she was here. With Mia. Asking for time she didn't have. The next morning, she came down with that practiced, tight-lipped expression I knew too well. Like she was heading into a courtroom, not our kitchen. Mia was strapped to her chest in one of those soft cloth carriers, barely peeking out. Hannah looked deliberate. Polished. As if she was already writing the script for how this would play out. I need to ask something, she began, setting her coffee cup down with a soft clink. I'm applying for a new place. Just a small apartment. I need Mom and Dad to co-sign the lease. No questions. Just paperwork. My dad stiffened. Co-sign? Yes. For Mia, she added, as if that would smooth it over. It's just temporary. I don't qualify on my own, yet. Evelyn, bless her, was already nodding. If it helps Mia, of course we'll. Wait, I interrupted. Hold on. Hannah, you just got here. You haven't told us anything. Why this apartment? What happened to the last one? She didn't answer. Just stared at me with that blank corporate face she always used when someone asked too much. Mom looked between us, torn. Liv, don't start. I'm not starting anything, I said. But if we're being asked to put our names on legal documents for a child we didn't even know existed until last night, maybe we deserve some honesty. Hannah's mouth twitched. It's just a favor. Don't make it into something it's not. But it was something. It was everything. I watched her closely all day. She moved like someone managing a game of chess, always 10 moves ahead. When Mia fussed, she was quick but mechanical. Patting, rocking, but her eyes flickered. Calculating. Like she was assessing more than just a baby's needs. That evening, things hit a boiling point. Dad's voice echoed from the living room. Has anyone seen my watch? He was talking about his grandfather's watch, the one he only wore on Sundays and holidays. Gold, vintage, deeply sentimental. It was gone from its usual place on the hallway shelf. Everyone started looking. Even Hannah joined in, a little too eagerly. It turned up less than an hour later, inside Mia's bassinet. We were all frozen. I must have dropped it when I put her down, Hannah said quickly, almost too quickly. She handed it back like it was nothing. She kicks around a lot. Grabs things. But I saw it. That flicker. That same glint from earlier, something not quite maternal, not quite sincere. Later that night, I found a note under my bedroom door. No envelope. No signature. Just one line. You'll regret digging deeper, H. I stared at it for a long time, heart pounding. I wanted to believe it was just stress. That she didn't mean it. That Hannah, the sister who once carried me home on her bike when I scraped my knee, wasn't someone I had to be afraid of. But then I remembered Mia's tiny whimper. The way Hannah had said, "You'll see why I had to keep this from you." And suddenly, I wasn't sure what terrified me more. What she was hiding. or how far she'd go to keep it hidden. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay there with the note beside me like it was ticking. Every creak in the house made my skin crawl. I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, that Hannah was just overwhelmed, not threatening me. But the words were clear. And they came from her hand. I knew her writing. I'd memorized it from a lifetime of birthday cards and sticky notes on the fridge. The next morning, I started looking into things. Not out of spite. Not even anger. Just a feeling that something wasn't right. And if Mia was in the middle of it, I couldn't ignore it. I pulled up a shared drive Dad had shown me months ago, where the family stored scans of important documents, old bank statements, property taxes, insurance stuff. I compared it to a folder I discreetly copied from Hannah's bag the night before. What I found made my stomach knot. Massive withdrawals from an account we didn't know existed. Not just a couple hundred for diapers or formula. I'm talking thousands. Regularly. Sometimes multiple times in a week. One listed as a consulting fee. Another as settlement. I printed everything. Highlighted the worst. Then I walked down to the neighbor's house, Mrs. Green, who lived next door since we were kids and had an uncanny ability to know everything without ever asking questions. I kept it casual. "Hey, did you notice anything strange upstairs the last few weeks?" She smiled politely, then tilted her head. "I thought you all had a new tenant. Saw someone bringing boxes in around midnight a few times. Young woman. I figured it was one of your cousins." Hannah. Carrying boxes. Alone. At midnight. I thanked her and left. When I got back, I found Hannah alone in Dad's study. Mia was asleep upstairs. Hannah was flipping through the property documents, our parents' wills, the deed to the house. She didn't even flinch when I walked in. "I know about the account," I said, closing the door behind me. She didn't look up. "I know about the withdrawals. I know about the eviction. I know you've been sneaking around in the middle of the night, moving things into the flat. I even know you planted Dad's watch to draw attention away from something." She shut the folder slowly. "You think you know everything." I stepped closer. "Then explain it to me. What exactly are you planning?" That's when she finally snapped. Her eyes narrowed, jaw clenched. "They wouldn't help me," she said, voice low and sharp. "No one would." I begged. I begged for a loan when everything started falling apart. I was months behind on rent. Mia was coming. I didn't know what to do. "You could have told us." "Oh please," she sneered. "You and your perfect little life? Your storybook engagement, and your safe little job reading picture books? You would have judged me the second I said I couldn't keep up. You all would have." "That's not true." "It is. You just don't know it yet." She stood, holding up the eviction notice like it was a badge. I was going to lose everything. And they wouldn't co-sign. So I started planning something better. My blood ran cold. "What does that mean?" Her voice turned icy. "They'll lose this house. Not me. I've already used their names to open new credit lines. I tanked their scores. When the debt collectors come knocking, they'll have no choice but to sell. And when they do, I get my cut. I survive. Mia survives." I was stunned. "You sabotaged our parents. On purpose?" "I did what I had to do." I could barely breathe. "This is blackmail. This is survival," she snapped. Then, from upstairs, a scream. High-pitched. Panic-laced. "Mom?" I rushed past her and up the stairs 2 steps at a time. Mom was standing in the doorway of the flat, trembling. "She's gone," she whispered. I pushed past her. The crib was empty. The blankets scattered. The windows slightly ajar. Hannah hadn't just threatened to destroy our family's future. She'd already started. And now Mia was missing. I bolted toward the flat's entrance like something wild had taken hold of me. The crib was empty, completely, devastatingly empty. No Mia. No blanket. Just the faint echo of her last whimper and the cold realization that my sister, my own flesh and blood, had disappeared with a 6-week-old baby in the middle of the night. Ethan arrived not long after. He must have sensed something was wrong from my texts, or maybe the silence was enough. He didn't even knock, just pushed through the front door, breathless, eyes scanning. "Where is she?" I grabbed his arm and pulled him upstairs. Mom was still standing in the flat, dazed and pale, one hand clutched to her mouth. Dad sat on the edge of the couch like someone had yanked the floor out from under him. No one was crying yet. Not yet. We were still in that sick limbo before emotion catches up to shock. "She took her," I said. "She took Mia." Then Hannah's voice sliced through the silence. From behind us. "Don't make this worse than it has to be." We all turned. She stood in the doorway to the back staircase, Mia bundled in her arms, her face unreadable. Not panicked. Not tearful. Just cold. Like this was a business negotiation, and she was holding the leverage. "You didn't fight for me," she said, eyes locked on me. "When I was drowning. When I was screaming for help and none of you could hear it. So now, you can all drown in this house together. Put her down," I said, stepping forward. Hannah shook her head. "Don't you dare tell me what to do. You get to live in this perfect family fantasy while I fight for scraps. Every time I asked for help, someone told me I'd figure it out. Well, I did. You stole their names," I said. "You lied. You planned to bankrupt our parents just to survive. I planned to start over," she hissed. "And this baby, she's the only good thing I have. And you're not going to take her away from me." Mia started to fuss. Her little body squirmed. Hannah held her tighter, too tight. "Olivia," Ethan's voice was steady but firm, stepping beside me now. "You said she used their names for credit fraud. Did you file anything?" "I filed the paperwork this morning," I whispered. "And I talked to the landlord, too." Hannah laughed, harsh and humorless. "Good luck with that. The eviction's scheduled. This house will be gone by the end of the month." "No," Ethan said, pulling a folded paper from his back pocket. "It won't." He stepped forward and held it up. "It's voided. The landlord filed a reversal. Because Olivia negotiated with him yesterday. She paid the back balance out of her savings." I stared at him. "You what?" "I couldn't let her win," he said quietly. "Not with this." For the first time, Hannah's face broke. A crack. A tremble. "No," she whispered. "You're lying." Ethan handed the document to Dad. "It's signed. Official. There's nothing to sell. Nothing to take." Hannah staggered back a step. Mia started to cry again, louder this time. That raw, newborn wail. It broke something in all of us. "You don't get it," Hannah choked out. "This is only the beginning." She turned, clutching the baby like a lifeline, and fled up the back staircase. I ran after her, faster than I thought possible. I caught her at the top, where the hallway narrowed. "Stop," I said. "Hannah, please. You're not thinking clearly." She turned on me, furious. "You have no idea what it's like. To be buried alive in silence. To be everyone's disappointment wrapped in a law degree and heels. You all thought I had it together, but I was unraveling. I was screaming. And no one, heard me. I'm listening now," I said. My voice cracked. "I'm here. We all are. But Mia needs more than desperation. She needs safety. Love." She was shaking, full body trembling now, tears streaming. "She's all I have." "No," I said softly, stepping closer. "She's not. You still have us. If you want us. But you need to let go of this war you think you're fighting. No one here wants to beat you. We just want Mia safe. And you, better." And finally, her grip softened. Her arms lowered. She handed Mia to me, sobbing as she collapsed to the floor. The storm had passed. But the wreckage was everywhere. The days that followed didn't feel real. They felt like a quiet disaster you only notice after the sirens stop. We didn't talk much those first few mornings. No one knew what to say, not after what had nearly happened. Mia stayed in the nursery Dad had hastily pieced together from their old guest room, her tiny breath the only thing anchoring us. Evelyn rarely left the room, gently holding the baby while staring out the window for hours. Mark, once so steady, started locking the study door behind him. And Hannah, she didn't run. She didn't try to fight her way out or disappear. She stayed, quiet, wrecked, waiting for what came next. What came next was swift and complicated. The financial damage was worse than we realized. Hannah had opened multiple lines of credit under Mom and Dad's names. Some of the charges were small, groceries, gas, baby things. But others were massive. Legal consulting fees, apartment deposits, a personal loan sent to a man no one could identify. We pressed charges, not out of revenge, but because it was the only way to legally untangle everything. The lawyers said without a fraud report, Evelyn and Mark would be liable for all of it. The thought of turning on their own daughter nearly destroyed them, but they signed the forms. Hands shaking. The court mandated counseling as part of her plea deal. Weekly sessions. Supervised parental training. She wouldn't lose Mia, yet, but she wouldn't get to parent alone either. For now, Mia would stay in the home, cared for by Evelyn and Mark under strict supervision, until the legal storm passed. I volunteered to help. Not because I trusted her, but because I wanted Mia to see someone steady. We created something we now call the kitchen table meetings. Every Saturday morning, Mom, Dad, Hannah, and I sit down at the same worn table we grew up around. We talk about what Mia needs, what progress has been made, what comes next. Some days Hannah contributes. Some days she just listens. And some days, when Mia coos or stretches her tiny fingers toward her mother, I see a flicker of the sister I remember, the girl who once curled up beside me during thunderstorms, whispering promises that we'd always be on each other's side. Trust, though, is another matter. I set firm boundaries. Hannah is not welcome to babysit Mia alone yet. She has no access to the family's finances. Every step forward is documented, deliberate. She knows I don't fully believe in her yet. But she shows up. She's trying. And I've learned that healing isn't always about instant forgiveness. Sometimes it's just showing up when it matters most, even when you're the one who tore everything apart. Last weekend, I stood in the now empty upstairs flat. The air smelled different, cleaner, lighter. I carried a small can of pastel paint with me, the kind used in nurseries. I dipped a brush and slowly, carefully, painted 5 letters on the far wall. M.I.A. A promise. A soft, stubborn declaration in color. She deserves more than secrets. She deserves truth. And love. And maybe, with time, that's exactly what she'll have. Because in the end, family isn't about blind loyalty. It's about choosing the vulnerable. Even when betrayal leaves a scar.